Now, I just watched a resurfaced clip of Michael Jai White saying he thinks he can take on Bruce Lee based on his size, and he says that Bruce Lee wasn't and isn't a fighter. And I'm like, bro, you are deflecting because, bro, you ain't no fighter either by your logic. It's like, let's just put this whole thing to rest. So who's a fighter and who ain't a fighter? Look here, bitch. If you ain't making money fighting people for real, that means, okay, you're not a real fighter in real life. That's what that means. If you ain't being paid, if you don't have a winning fighting record or any kind of record, if you haven't been in any sanctioned fights, yes, on paper, you are not a fighter. But that don't mean you can't fight. Dude, Michael Jai White, I hate when people say, oh, Bruce Lee hasn't gotten in a real fight. Well, maybe because people were too scared of him. How about that? But Michael Jai White has not gotten in a real fights either. That's the crazy part. Like, who made up this legend about Michael Jai White as a fighter? I looked at his Wikipedia page. There's no fighting records. Like, he said that Jean-Claude Van Damme is a real fighter, even though Jean-Claude Van Damme has a kickboxing record that you can look up. So, I looked at Michael Jai White's page on Google, Wikipedia. I tried to fucking YouTube him. He has no fights on his record. He has no kickboxing fights. He has no mixed martial arts fights on his record. Nothing. He's just he's just a martial artist who trains in the art. He is no different than Bruce Lee by that same logic. Like, I don't care how many arts you have trained in. I heard he has 8 fucking black belts. By the way, black belts are overrated. Nobody gets a flying fuck if you are a fucking black belt. Okay, that don't make you special. That just means that you train in that art for a long time. That don't mean shit. I don't care about black belts. Hell, Jim Kelly was a black belt and he said he didn't care about his black belts. Bruce Lee was not a black belt. Fun fact. And Bruce Lee didn't care about black belts. That don't make you some kind of badass having 8 or 10 fucking black belts. That means your ass trained in that art for a long time. That don't make you a beast or something. Stop saying Michael Jai White is a fighter. That's crazy. Like, Michael, you haven't been in any real fights with a referee. So who gave him this ego boost that he's a fighter? How dare you say Bruce Lee wasn't a fighter because he wasn't in any real fights? Bro, you have not been in any real fights. Listen, this dude went straight into acting. And I heard he used to be a fucking school teacher. So I'm trying to find any proof that he's a fighter. Now, I hate when people say, oh, this guy ain't a fighter. Jet Li ain't no fighter. Scott Adkins, he ain't no fighter. Okay, what is your definition of a fucking fighter? Because to me, my definition of a fighter is, are you paid to beat people up? That's a fighter. But just because a guy hasn't been in any real fights that has money involved, that don't mean he ain't no fighter. It's like, what's the point of training in fucking martial arts if your base is, oh, if you haven't been in real fights, you ain't no fighter. Okay, but what if I know how to fight? Just because a guy has been in real fights, that don't mean he can't fight. What's the point of training in fucking martial arts then? It's about learning how to fight. So, by that logic, yeah, Bruce Lee, he knew how to fight. Just because he wasn't in any real fights, that don't mean he couldn't fight. What the fuck is a point of fucking training? Just because a guy doesn't make money as a fighter, that don't mean he can't fight. Michael Jai White, you are no different than Bruce Lee by your own logic. Michael Jai White ain't no fighter. He's an actor. Bro, dude, you've been in more movies than fucking Bruce Lee. So, how is that your logic? Oh, I can beat Bruce Lee because of my size. Bro, size doesn't matter. If anything, your muscles will fucking slow you down against Bruce Lee. His size would slow him down against a fast, quick-ass dude like a Bruce Lee. Like, I hate when people say, oh, Bruce wasn't in any tournaments. Okay, so Bruce Lee didn't believe in tournaments. He didn't believe that your skills should be held back in tournaments. That's why he didn't do tournaments. He felt like his skills would be held back because he felt like, well, I can't hurt people in tournaments, so what's the point? So the whole point is, when it comes to being a fighter, you have to be paid. If you ain't paid, you are not a fighter on paper. If you ain't in a boxing ring or a fucking octagon, if a referee is not raising your hand, you ain't no fighter. But that don't mean you can't fight. Listen, if I'm trained in Taekwondo, if I'm trained in BJJ, if I'm trained in multiple martial arts, right? But I've never been in a real sanctioned fight, does that mean that I can't fight? No, it just means like I'm not a fighter on paper. I'm not being paid, but that don't mean I don't know how to fight. What the fuck is going on? It's like, look, man, I do like Michael Jai White, but he has a very, very high opinion of himself. Like, holy shit. It's like this is the same guy that said he thinks he can win a fight against Mike Tyson. So you know he has a huge fucking ego. But I do like him. It's just he has a huge fucking ego about himself. To call other men, no, your ass can't fight. Okay, what proof do you have, Michael? All we have to go on is your movies. That sounds like Bruce Lee to me. The same guy you said was not a fighter, right? You have no sanctioned fights that we can go on with a ref involved. All you do is spar. That don't mean you're a fighter. All you do is spar, which is, those are love taps. That don't make you a fucking fighter because you spar with John Jones. John Jones goes easy on you, most likely, if it's fucking sparring. Sparring don't make you a fighter. But let's not disrespect people who fucking train. If I'm training, that means I know how to fight. Look, just because Jackie Chan has never been in a fight, that don't mean he can't fight. Hell, I feel like that's fucking impressive. If you are a trained fighter, but you never been in a fight, well, maybe people are too scared to fight you. How about that? How about Jet Li? Well, maybe people were too scared to fight Jet Li. Maybe people were too scared to fight Bruce Lee. Maybe that's why Bruce wasn't in any real fights. Common sense. But what is your evidence that Michael Jai White knows how to fight? Like, where is your evidence? Where's your proof? All I see is him punching bags. What the fuck? Where's your proof? Oh yeah, he has great technique. Okay, yeah, so I do too. So what the fuck is the fucking difference? He has great technique on how he kicks. Okay, yeah, so that don't make him a fighter. Michael Jai White is not a fighter. He's an actor. What the fuck? He's an actor. When you Google him, it says actor, then martial artist. When you type Bruce Lee in Google, it says American martial artist. That's weird. But don't tell me Michael Jai White is a fighter. How? That was crazy that he said Bruce Lee was not a fighter. I'm like, so are you? Like, you ain't no fucking fighter. Where's your evidence? Spawn ain't proof, dude. Fucking Blood and Bones ain't proof. Fucking Falcon Rising ain't proof that you are a fighter. You are an actor. It's crazy, like, where does he get off calling other men non-fighters when, bro, you've been in shitloads of movies. You've been in more movies than fucking Jean-Claude Van Damme. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. But you said Jean-Claude Van Damme ain't no fighter. He's an actor. The fuck you talking about? You ain't no fucking fighter either. All you do is train. Training in multiple arts don't make you a fighter. Fighters get paid to fight. You are a fucking actor in movies. So how is Bruce not a fighter, but you are? How? I need proof, Sway. Now look, man, I do like Michael Jai White. It's just his ego is crazy. It's like he has such a fucking high opinion of himself. Here is an example. Chuck Norris, he's a fighter, right? Chuck Norris, he's a fighter, bro. He's been in tons of competitions when he was younger. So that's different. He's a fighter. But just because you never been in any tournaments as a fighter, that don't mean you can't fight. If a prime Bruce Lee fought Michael Jai White, I think Bruce would beat him based off speed and timing and just more skill, better quickness. And Bruce, he had low-key power. He was very strong for his size. But when it comes to Jai White, right? Look, he is very big and very, very strong, but he's too big. A guy at that size, bro, your muscles will fucking slow you down, just like on Dragon Ball Z. On Dragon Ball Z, bulky buff dudes don't do well on that show, which actually translates to real life. Bruce would beat up Michael Jai White based off speed and quickness. And when it came to Bruce Lee, dude, even Chuck Norris said that Bruce Lee was the real deal. He used to spar with Bruce Lee, and he said that Bruce Lee always used to get the better of him. Same as Jim Kelly. Jim Kelly was like what? Jim Kelly was 6'3". Let that sink in. Jim Kelly was 6'3". He was bigger than Bruce Lee. And yet, from what I heard, Bruce Lee used to whoop his ass in sparring. So, Bruce Lee always beat up dudes that were bigger than him. Just imagine Michael Jai White, who is not as fast or as quick as a Bruce Lee. Dude, skills always outweighs size. Your size don't mean shit in fights. If you ain't highly skilled and quick and smart and have great timing, your size don't mean a damn thing. It's like, I don't know why Michael Jai White thinks size matters in fights. Size don't matter. By that same logic, how come Floyd Mayweather beat Logan Paul? Logan Paul was over 200 pounds. Floyd was like, what? Maybe 150 something pounds? 160 maybe? And Logan Paul still couldn't beat him. So no, bitch, size don't matter. It's about your skills. It's about your skills and your technique. Your size is more like size is a plus. Size is more of a plus. But size ain't the end all be all in fights. You need skills. Just like Bud Crawford beat up Spence. Bud Crawford beat up Errol Spence, even though Errol was bigger. Bitch, size don't matter in fights. That's it. I'm done.